Crosby. This is Burn the Playbook. Today's guest is Nir Zavaro, known as the business storyteller. Nir helps founders and global brands like Microsoft and Unilever win deals by fixing what most teams miss, the story. He's a global keynote speaker, founder of Streetwise, and author of Fuck the Slides, where he challenges slide-driven pitches that fail in real conversations. He teaches teams how to replace decks with clear narratives that align marketing, sales, and leadership and actually move buyers to act. Let's get into it. Welcome, Nir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Nice. Welcome. So tell me more about the business storyteller. Is that a name that you gave yourself, or was somebody else giving you that as far as just your moniker?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me. I was thinking about before we started the recording that it always amazes me that the amount of work and effort that goes into it, and you sending me questions and jumping on a call. And I think we spoke enough times for me to already sort of call you a new friend. So thank you for taking the time. It means a lot.
Nice. I appreciate that.
It's always funny because we are the salespeople, right? We are authors, we are keynote speakers, but we need to define something. Mm-hmm. But I've done this concept of implementing storytelling techniques into business. And slowly people said, so you do storytelling in business? And I was like, yeah, like the business storyteller. Mm-hmm. I thought I need something to help people understand, but more than that, which is funny, this all came true and came a reality a lot of thanks to AI search, because we need to clearly explain what we do. So the business storyteller is an easy way to go at it.
Nice. I like that. And, I think if you're going to be effective in sales, you have to be a good storyteller. Even in marketing, you have to be a good storyteller. At the end of the day, you kind of have to paint a picture of something that your audience, your prospects, your customers can kind of latch onto, especially as a differentiator. I think it's certainly helpful. But you've done a lot of different things in your career from sales and marketing. Would you consider yourself more on the sales side or the marketing side, or I guess is there a door number 3?
I often say that I'm a salesman at heart. I started selling when I was a kid. Most people know this story over here in Israel, but I started selling snowboards in a country that has 10 months of sun. So I love selling stuff, okay? So we would sell you a snowboard for next year for thousands of dollars while standing in front of you in flip-flops and shorts before we go to the beach. So I think for me, it was always about sales. But more than that, it was always about the stories we tell. And marketing is a great way to implement the creative of both writing and making more people than the just one-on-one, right? If marketing is one too many. So I think that combination stuck with me from an early age.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think it has to be a combination of both, more or less. But I know that a lot of people out there, they want to stay in one lane or the other, whether it's sales and marketing. You've kind of been all over the world. You've lectured in over 30 countries. You've written novels. You've run bars. You've built an agency. You've done the sales. You've done the marketing. Do you think that's helped you in your career? Or is there a reason why you haven't, I guess, stuck to one lane like most people do?
I think I'm one of the lucky ones that get to do what they love, call it a job, and actually get paid and travel while doing it. I loved stories as a kid. My parents would tell me that they would sit me in front of the TV, and for hours I would just stare at the TV, but then I like this, I don't get this, I don't like the characters. I always said one day when I'll have time, I'll write a story. At the age of 30, after a very bad experience owning a food and beverage business that didn't go well, I said, now I really only have time. I had no money, I was living on my friends' couches, and I said now is a good time to accomplish that dream. And with about 7 or 8 years in sales, a couple of years in marketing, an international brand, I sat down, took a year off, did a bit of consulting and stuff, and wrote my first novel, which became there's a continuation. The sequel came after 5 years, I think. And if you look at it, when I do bars and stuff, I love meeting people. A lot of my clients over the years became very good friends of mine. I love meeting people. I love telling stories, and I love to sell. So that seems like an awesome combination of everything, you know what I mean? And that's how it works. So why not do all these things together? And more than that, today when I meet people and do consulting, I can jump from so many different industries and so many different stuff. And I've known how to raise money, how to sell a good business, how to build a good business, how to build a very bad business. All the combinations. So I think that made me very quick and witty today when we work and workshops especially. And it helps me create a messaging that would take most people a month. I can probably do it in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it certainly helps at least to have experience at a lot of different roles and functions, different industries. Also, just global experience, I think, helps a tremendous amount just to kind of understand how everything's connected. Typically in sales and probably marketing too, as we were talking about in the beginning, as far as telling a story, some people are good at it. You're good at it. I try to be good at it. There's probably room for improvement there, but I think most people don't come into the mindset of a sales pitch or a presentation, at least with storytelling in mind. It's more about just talking about their products, talking about their company. So why do you think people have a problem telling a story or shaping a narrative that's not just feature and product driven?
They don't drink enough alcohol. And I'll explain. We all have these friends, especially that one friend that when we go out and we sit in the bar, they always have the best stories, the best. And when they start, you go, listen, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. And the reason is because these people tell the same story over and over. What is called to craft and to storytell means a lot of times to edit, to understand this sentence, this word, this intonation, at this pace, right? The cadence. There's so much that goes into telling a good story. Oftentimes when I show, I do this in my workshops, I show founders, I'll explain to them that the details they're using are not relevant, they're not interesting. They do not support the story. Being a good storyteller means writing, being interesting for once, but more than that, the ability to edit. And you probably know this, a lot of people focus on the visuals because we say we are visual creatures, which is a great sentence that means nothing. If you're such a visual creature as a salesperson, why are you not writing your pitch? Why are you improvising? And I think people need to understand that it's about crafting, it's about meeting people, it's about understanding that storytelling is a great tech buzzword, but in reality it is the only way we communicate. When you and I met and we started to talk about different things, right? You told me stories, I told you stories, and every time we look at the bag and like, I like that story, I like the guy. This is interesting. And when we go on a sales call, right, and we do this small talk at the beginning. Why? Because we want to lower tension. If I'll tell you a story about an experience I had in snowboarding, right, and you hate snowboarding, the reaction isn't the same. So it's not just by choosing the right story, but it's choosing the right story to the right audience. And again, it's about doing it over and over. And that's why I love the concept of the people at the bar.
That's a good story about telling stories as far as going to the bar. And I think it makes a lot of sense. And typically, at least in sales, I've had mostly sales roles in my entire career. And I've always thought I was responsible for telling the story. In a lot of businesses, it's probably not the case where, sales is just taking that story from maybe marketing and they're just regurgitating it in some sort of way. I don't think probably that's the right approach either, because you probably have to tailor it to your audience. So at the end of the day, who should be, I guess, tasked with the responsibility of telling the story? Is it sales? Is it marketing? Is it product? Is it all the above?
My next book is called The Business Catcher, and that's why we're all building brands the wrong way and how to fix it. There is this tendency to think we are the hero in the story, right? Because every concept you'll be told has the same structure of a story, right? The hero's journey and so on. My claim is this is not exactly relevant in this case. And the hero is actually the brand. But let's say, for example, you and I decide to start a new company that's going to be focused on international sales. And I'll do the writing and you'll do the pitching. And we're sitting there and we're discussing certain things. And you will say, you know what, Nir, you do the writing. You're better than me. I said, that's great. But Marc, now we need to go to the US market. You know more. You lead that. In fact, you and I are not arguing, we are agreeing, but we are not necessarily doing the right decisions for the brand on behalf of the brand. Once we understand that the brand is the main character and we all play a supporting role. So if we look at an analogy we like giving sometimes as a football team, right? So in order to get the ball going, everybody else needs to play a role. Sometimes you'll get hit, sometimes you'll get punched, sometimes you have to run faster. Then most of us in every role never ask, am I helping my teammates move forward? On the contrary, marketing isn't happy about what the product is doing. Product is not happy about the sales asking them to develop something that didn't exist. There's no correlation. In a workshop I did 2 weeks ago in the US, it was interesting because when I asked at the end, what did you take away? What's the one thing you're taking away? And one of the executive, he's probably the most senior and the best sales guy there. And he says, I'm surprised and happy to learn that product and sales can work so well together today. Now that's for me is a huge thing. Consistency happens when we build the brand as a character, and we know this because when we watch a show or a movie or read a book, if the character is not consistent, erratic, keeps doing different things. One moment they're happy, one moment they go crazy, one moment they go there, one moment they want to buy, one moment they sell. You're saying, I don't understand. It's too complicated. I'm out. I'll do something else. So my question is, why are you willing to do that to your own brand? Why are you not creating a brand character that can sit next to us as the team? And every time we measure and say, hey, is this helping you reach the next goal, the next milestone? Because if not, how can we support? You know, the book is called Fuck the Slides, and I'm not against slides. I just teach how to do story writing before anything else. And in my workshops about branding and customer journey, there's a slide I really like that says a good brand is the biggest CEO ego killer. Because
that's a good quote.
I understand that you as a CEO, you want to do a million things, but it's not in our best interest as a team, and it's not going to take the brand to the next place, the next level.
Makes sense. And I think that's also where we guys share a brain, or at least a methodology with Burn the Playbook and Fuck the Slides. It's not that I'm against playbooks. It's just that we need to challenge some of the outdated ways of thinking and kind of put yourself in your customer's shoes and iterate as we go, so to speak. So I definitely love title of your book and everything, but it certainly aligns at least with my brand, so to speak. As far as branding and brand development, I think you work with a lot of startups. I have experience in a lot of corporate settings, working for large enterprise companies. So what's the difference, at least for brand development at the startup level and brand development and management at an enterprise level? Is it different or is it the same?
It is different. What is the same, which is interesting, is that the people are the same. The way they approach something is different. The larger the corporation is, and we're now seeing this with various clients I've had around the world since 2023, where from the moment there's a realization that there is a problem, it will take us a quarter to move. On the other hand, a startup might make a decision in this one afternoon and start tomorrow. I'm not sure if both of them are okay or not, if they're the right solution or not. What do I mean is sometimes the brand doesn't have, if they're too small at the beginning, depending on, again, sales, if you're just starting to make your sales process. What happens is we want to close the deal at all costs because we're so sales focused, but we are lacking the language that the brand needs or wants to use. When we go to an enterprise level, they already have a way of speaking and doing things, and it's very hard to change or move the direction of the ship to talk differently. So if there's, for example, 5 departments and they're not exactly speaking and they're a bit siloed, to bring them together is not an easy task, and it is completely different than helping a small startup understand the customer journey. Both of them need to sell more. The way I approach it differs between team, size, and their space at that moment.
Is there just a reluctancy or just I don't know, just staying in your own silos and kind of just thinking about your own day-to-day, maybe thinking about your own job as far as just not wanting to work with sales and marketing and having that alignment? I guess, why is that such a huge challenge? Is it an individual challenge, or is it the organizational challenges that prevents these different departments from working together and connecting the dots as far as all their jobs?
Marketing gets 100 leads, okay? What does sales say? The leads are not good, right? Then the sales say leads are not good. Marketing will say sales are not putting in effort. Who's right? So my question is, why are we not flipping the questions and saying, hey, what can I do for you that will help you become better? Thus, marketing sends me 100 leads. I need to help come back and say, hey, just so you know, this is the reason why these leads are good. These are the reasons why they're not good. This is what we're seeing. This is what we're learning. And these are the steps. We filled everything in the CRM. And here's a summary. Tell me if you need anything from our team. Don't tell me not good, because I don't know what to do with it. Okay. On the other side, marketing doesn't need to say, oh, sales can't close the deals or can't do it. They might say, hey, this is the type of clients, the ICP we've created, and this is how we plan on improving it week over week, month over month. And I'll give you a great example. I'm working with a company. They were about probably position number 4, number 5 this year in their industry. The sales is roughly 250 to, let's say, 300,000 per deal. And sales were not happy. There isn't enough leads. We are now at the position from May to December of 2025 where we had to hire 2 more salespeople plus an SDR just to reply. And all of that was because we said, what do you need? What type of leads would make you happy? Would you be willing to call them in less than 2 hours to make that deal close so we know better? Because then we're collaborating. There's this tendency of siloing marketing and sales. One is one to many and one is one to one. We need to work together. And an interesting thing is, where do you hand over from marketing to sales? And the most overlooked thing in all this process is the customer journey. So if I can make the connection and call it the customer journey, suddenly we can visualize it, we can talk about it, we have SLAs, we have different types of contracts, the thank you email. Now what happens? Everything is written. More than that, everything is measured. But the best part, we are now taking someone on a journey. So we need to create consistency, right? There's consistency in the story. Every interaction they will have, from the marketing creative to the thank you email to someone calling them or someone scheduling a meeting, needs to sound as if the brand reached out. Now, if the brand is funny and easygoing, it has to stay the same. Now, there's an ability for the management team to come back at every step to every department and say, are we actually applying the brand attributes, the way of behavior and the language? And by the way, we're finishing 2025 with that company number 1 in the market.
Nice. Do you think that most companies don't spend enough time on the customer journey as far as just analyzing that, putting yourself in your customer's shoes? Is it just a gross oversight?
They just don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Everybody
knows doing something would be
buzzwords.
better than doing nothing at all. And I think in most cases it's nothing at all. But
if we look, I'll give you a great story. I'm working with a company. They do about $150 to $200 per lead. They'll close 1 to 12, 114. Okay, so that's, let's say on average between 2,000 to 2,500 for a close. For them, that was great. And when I came, I asked an innocent question. Say, what happens with all those who said no? They said no, that's it. And I said, wait, so we paid a lot of money for them. They said, yeah, but it's too, we don't know when they would want us, if they want us, if they have another contract. We forget about it. Can we move on? We want to close more deals. And I said, that's great. I took 2 people from the sales team. And I said, hey, I want to create a new customer journey that's called no. And the moment they said no, they go into a whole new funnel. And the funnel we split. Why they said no? Because they now have a contract until when? Okay, 60 days before we doubled the business, not by getting more leads. Remember, they already know who we are. They spoke to us. They met someone. In some cases, could have gotten even a quote. So now go tell me how many companies that you've met, enterprise level and stuff, go back to what we call the garbage bin, take out all this, and they're like, oh, this is gold. Customer journey.
There's a lot of gold in the no's, and also the yeses. I mean, I think the same thing could probably be said for the yeses, because just like your example, as far as someone says no, they throw their hands up. They said no, we move on, and you don't learn anything by not analyzing it, because there's a tremendous amount of information that you can extract out of a no to even close the deal after they say no, because I think a no is a great thing. Same thing with a yes, though. On the other side of that is that you win business. Everyone says yes, they throw their hands up. That's great. We won business, and then you move on, just like you would with the no sometimes. Maybe not understanding why it is that your customers or your prospects chose your product, chose your company, chose your brand, bought into everything that you were selling. There's a lot of analysis that you can extract out of that to take your best things that you did and replicate those over and over again. What do we do right? Why did you buy from us? What is it that you really latched onto as far as, was it a feature? Was it a product? Was it the solution? Was it our ease of doing business with us? Was it our e-commerce? Whatever it might be. But there's a lot of, I think, opportunity to unpack the yeses just as much as the nos. But I think for both instances, everyone just kind of comes to a halt and they move on to the next thing, whatever that looks like. But I think you were saying, as far as a customer journey funnel and analyzing that, a lot of opportunity there, I think, that most people miss out on.
I think my claim is that when I started to work on the business catcher, I said the brand is the first thing. Then we do messaging, then we do marketing, sales, and customer journey. I was in Thailand for 3 months, Vietnam for 2 months. I'm writing, I'm thinking, I'm working with different people. And one day I said, I made a mistake. The equation is wrong. The brand is the essence, that is the beating heart of the story. Without the main character, nothing happens. Everyone else propels that. You know the concept of a round character in books? So the round character has what happened to it as a kid, right? What they like, what they don't like, their attributes, skill set, everything. They are the main character, or you could have a few. And then there's what we call a flat character. They're there to propel the plot and help that main character achieve something, go somewhere. I think you and I also discussed the Wizard of Oz, right? I can't have the CEO who might be the Tin Man think he's Dorothy. Doesn't work. So I'm asking and inviting everyone, if you look at that great group of people, the yellow brick road, you're here to help Dorothy. And we see that when we see VPs coming in, 1-2 years, they get their stuff done, they leave, other stuff, Dorothy is there. So how can I support that? I need to understand that some might be scared, some don't have a heart, could be a lot of things. I need you to have that thing, right? So together we can march towards and we can build something. The customer journey allows us to align the language internally and externally. Okay. Oftentimes people make a mistake and they're saying, let's do a rebrand. And I'm saying it doesn't mean anything. 1,000 people company do a new logo, a new redesign. They even might update their core values. Core values and stuff is very, very hard to push top to bottom. But when we say, you know what, you already have your core values. We can discuss if they're good or not. We can say if we like the logo or not. There are a million things we can discuss and argue. And there are enough consultants until the end of time to help us and spend money on these debates. What if I tell you, do you want to make more money? Do you want to increase your revenue? Do you need a bit more profit? Because if so, I can help. What if we only took one use case of what happens to a client from the moment they hear about me to the moment they purchased, from the moment they purchased to upselling, lower churn, or stuff like that. And then the customer journey allows everyone on the team to speak the same way, but more than that, to measure. With one of the clients I worked with, we took what they said, oh, everybody knows how it works. And we said, yeah, but the customer journey isn't structured. It became 34 contact points, regardless of the times that you need to call the client. You have a question from start to finish until they get the service and the product, 34 contact points. And then we said, this is interesting. We've been around for so long. Everyone on the team has been around the block. They know in every position, they're the best. We said, you know what if it's all about the people? So every time you finish a phase, that person will tell you what will happen next and who is the person by name who will take care of you from now on. And automatically, when they move it on the CRM system, an automated email will go from the next person saying, hey, I heard you had a great meeting with this and that. I'm looking forward. Do you want to book? And this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So actually, that helps the team create certainty, accountability. Nothing is left behind. We're thinking about the whole process. But the language means that in every step of the way, you will hear and feel the brand. In another client, by the way, we did the same thing where everything is online, small team, and they're selling designs and stuff like that. And we managed to double the business in 8 weeks. All we did is clarify the language and made sure that the brand is consistent. After that, we said we leave no lead behind. There's a customer journey If you said no, that's fine. It's a no now. It's not a no goodbye forever.
Yeah, and I think that alignment is certainly important, not only internally but also externally. I think we talked about before is just consistency as far as your character, your brand, and having that so the people that you're communicating with outside don't get confused, because we all know that creates a myriad of many different types of problems. I like how you have a couple different names for some of your slide decks. I think one of them's a toilet deck. I think I heard you say something about the Babylon deck as well. Curious if you can unpack those and kind of tell me what the differences are, and which one do I use, I guess, in a boardroom? Which ones do I email to somebody? And I guess, how do you, prepare all that in a unified and aligned way internally for your external presentations?
I have this funny problem that I didn't know about, that if I have a good title for a book, I have to write it. And that's how the first and second novels came to life, and how Fuck the Slides came to life. When I was working on the book, I had to explain that the title is Fuck the Slides, yet startups must present slides.
Sure.
And sometimes in my workshops over 4 hours, I have slides. That is completely fine. The concept came to life because I said, if I take away your slides, what are you going to talk about? Where most people improvise. So the big chunk of the methodology is how to write a story, how to make it interesting, how to turn it into a good pitch, how to measure, and so on. But people said, oh, that's great, I love it. And they designed slides according to that trailer pitch, where they talk. They are the presentation. The slides are meant to support it. That means that those slides did not have any text, or very, very little text. But especially in the tech industry, it is very common that you send something before. Now, you cannot send slides that are beautifully designed with one picture with no text. People don't understand the context. Sure. So I said, you need a different one when you send it out. And while researching the book, I learned that a lot of people watch the slides on their phone in the morning while they're sitting in the toilet. And secondly, it was a very clear way to make sure you understand I will not be sitting next to you when you see those slides. So the meaning of the toilet deck is anything I send out that I'm not the presentation, that needs to be a standalone product, interesting, clear, more text, that gets people excited to ask more, to meet, and so on. But they are not the same as the ones I will present after. The Babylon deck, which I highly, highly recommend for every salesperson on the planet to have a Babylon deck, that is because there are so many things I would like to share, tell you, and talk about, but I can't. And Babylon used to be the city with the biggest library, all the information, the maps, the biggest place. Knowledge was there. So basically, when we move to the FAQ part in the sales process, I teach people how to have, sometimes could be 60 or 70 slides. But when you ask me something, and then we can discuss a little bit more, and you have time to read, and you ask me about, hey, but how does this work? And I'm like, great question. Here's a slide. That creates some assurance and certainty that you know what you're talking about, that you came prepared. There's a bit more text. I can clarify. I can show you. And oftentimes, especially in complex tech companies, complex AI, cybersecurity, stuff like that, at the end, we have an FAQ of 10 questions that most investors would ask. By the way, I'll tell you an interesting secret. I've never had someone ask the 11th question. The way our brains are wired, they will see and they will pick one of the questions. And that creates not just the certainty, but a great follow-up so people can ask. And the moment we finish and we want to send that email, so we send the toilet deck, but we can also send the 1 or 2 or 3 slides you asked about. And it will take us 10 minutes to send it. And we look professional, we look good, and we came prepared. And that is very important.
Yeah, I agree. It's always good to have probably the right information there for the right people that are not going to be in the room, I guess, when they're, looking at your deck. That's always the way, at least, that I've always put a deck together, whether it's 10 slides, 20 slides, 30 slides, whatever, put some that are hidden kind of in the back of the deck, like you were saying, to at least show that I was prepared. I typically probably spend more time preparing for objections for people that won't be in the room potentially, whether it's a CFO or maybe it's legal or maybe it's the CEO or somebody else, and try to address those questions at least throughout the deck, just in case those questions come up when I'm potentially not in the room, to be able to defend my position or to explain something. And also just spending a lot of time before I even send anything out, before I step into a boardroom, to try to probably spend hours thinking about how somebody might receive this messaging, what sort of objections they might have, and then kind of iterating those slides or the whole deck based on how I think that they might respond to maybe answer objections before. Is that, I guess, a right way to do it?
So we just had an interesting session today about B2B sales, enterprise sales, with a great friend of mine, and I teach how to create 3-minute trailer pitch that will fit in 99% of the meetings. But the way you structure the meeting is very important, and the trailer is only meant to make you want to know more. Okay, I'm not selling. This is very important. Sales people, or I think oftentimes people look at sales in general and they see these people coming with a club. Buy it, you need it. I'm saying, no. I'm not selling you anything. I'll blow your mind, and then you will ask me a few clarifying questions, and you'll think that this is the right place to be. This is the right thing to buy. So the 500 words trailer pitch is something we teach, we learn by heart. And the difference between going, as you probably know, there's the problem, the solution, right? So if I already did the exploration part or the discovery section, now I want to tell you in 3 minutes what we do, how we are, why we stand out, and so on. It needs to be in a way that the first 30 seconds, about 70 words, are a great way to have a hook. And in those 70 words, you need to understand what we do, why it's interesting, and you will know now 2 things. One is, wow, this is amazing. And the next thing you're asking yourself is, wait, how do you do that? And then it allows me to go into a 2.5-minute prove your point section, which takes people from this. We all know this. If people are watching on YouTube at the moment, where you're sitting with your hands closed, right? Your body language is closed, and you're saying, you're here to sell me. And I want to flip that in 30 seconds to go to leaning forward, saying, wait, how can you do that? And this is the key. And again, I want to iterate that it is about writing more than anything else. If a salesperson doesn't send me the sales pitch written before they design or before they start to practice, not relevant. And in most of the workshops, I can do the sales better than them on the spot, not because I'm smarter, not because I'm necessarily better, because when they showed me or gave me their pitch, I already understand how to turn that into a feeling, an emotion, and what is the key message? What do I want to step on? That's what they miss. And they think if they spoke for 20 minutes, it's amazing. The product's amazing. The service, nobody cares. Literally, nobody cares.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think even in some cases, in my experience, as far as preparing these decks, and going into a meeting room, I just kind of also have the mindset where I only want to use them if I have to use them, because I typically want to walk in with just a notebook and a pen and get ready to just have a conversation, to ask them questions, to not make it salesy, because I think most people, they go in, they set up their laptop, they're ready for the PowerPoint, and that's what they're at least anchoring on, is that this is why we're here. And it's not why we're here to do a PowerPoint presentation. We're here to have a conversation, to understand, I guess, how we can help each other out, whether it's a partnership, where I'm trying to ask you what your needs are, ask questions and things like that. Not to oversimplify it, but at least going in there, I think, with a blank notebook and a pencil, I think at least also signals to the person across the room that I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to receive information from you in order to see if we're even a good fit for you. I mean, at least that's kind of like my mentality. At least I try to. And maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the conversation, I say, you know what? I also have a PowerPoint here. I can probably show you, a lot of that, because it helps bring people down, kind of lowers their defenses, as your example, as far as the arms crossed and things like that. You start to relax a little bit, open them up, and then you probably go into the PowerPoint. I don't know.
One of the interesting, and this is, I invite everyone on this, listening to this, and I'll do something I usually do in my big keynotes. I'll teach you something. If you do it, feel free to send it to me. 90% of the time I won't read it, but it's done for you and not for me. Mm-hmm. 500 words is about 3 minutes. That is your pitch. During, let's take one-on-one or with the team, physical meeting, you go in, you ask your discovery section, and then they say, okay, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about the company, right? Or what do you guys do? Most people would then explain for 10 minutes. 7 of them are not relevant. 3 I think I got, and maybe I'm thinking we can use it or not, and what are we having for lunch? So my invite to you guys, 500 words, 3 minutes. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about our company or what we do, and stay concise in 500 words, because this is your trailer pitch. In the book, I explain also how to do the structure, but for the sake of this conversation, run with your own 500 words. And the problem is 99% of salespeople do not have that section solved. And they're not good enough at improvising. There are a million stand-up comics. You and I remember maybe 10 in the whole world. Same goes for speakers, same goes for salespeople, same goes for everything. So if you write your 500, you will jump exponentially from where you are at the level of sales to the next level.
Yeah, I like that example as far as stand-up comics, because I like watching a lot of those videos as far as stand-up comedians, and it's kind of a mirror image as far as how a sales pitch should go, as far as just the preparation, the visuals. They don't have PowerPoint decks, and they don't need them because they're great storytellers. But yeah, that's kind of why at least I love your mentality. Let's pivot over to our rapid fire segment called Burn It or Build It. I will throw out a topic to you. You tell me burn it or build it and a brief reason why. Are you ready?
Go.
All right. Number 1, AI writing.
Build it. I think it is helping me amplify everything I'm doing, and editing became quicker, and I love it.
Nice. Number 2, voice of the customer. Is it a real insight, or is it just theater?
I think I'd burn it.
Yeah. Does it, I guess the voice of the customer, does it not tie into maybe a little bit of the customer journey as far as just understanding how they're feeling, whether they like your product or not?
Everything that sounds like a cool buzzword and a metric that no one understands, burn it.
Burn it. Got it. All right. Number 3, publish pricing on your site. So it's pricing transparency.
Build it. I just saw a website that did something amazing with pricing, and every salesperson I sent it to went, this is amazing. So I think your messaging needs to be epic, and it works.
Nice. Number 4, we've talked a lot about slides, F the slides and all that, but a PowerPoint free pitch. No slides at all.
I want to say burn it. My main problem, if your pitch isn't written, you're reckless. And if you know exactly what you're supposed to say, you're brave.
Sounds good. Number 5, discounting at the end of the quarter to win deals.
I'll go with burn it. But then again, I have an amazing example of someone who just did a discount for end of October, scaled like crazy. You know what happened afterwards? He signed a lot more when he doubled the pricing. So I think as long as you don't do it because it's an easy way out.
Yeah, it probably depends, but it can probably get you in trouble long term. But maybe in the short term, maybe it works. It probably just depends on your business and how you're discounting or how you lead up to that discount.
Yeah.
Whether it's to try to move a deal across the finish line, or to, I guess in your example, maybe expand your business. Number 6, NPS, Net Promoter Score. Burn it or build it?
I'll go with burn it just because I'm sticking to my original thing. If it's just a nice buzzword.
Number 7, short form video on LinkedIn. We see this all the time, at least in my feed. There's a lot of videos, 60 seconds or less. Burn it or build it as far as just building your brand.
I'm going to go with build it because next week we're filming the first 8.
Nice. I love the short form. I think it works well. And obviously I think LinkedIn and a lot of other platforms are already there as far as the short form video content, which is fine. LinkedIn for thought leaders. Is it helpful, or is it just, I don't know, everyone sounds the same?
I'll say burn it because your AI text is not you writing. And if you don't have an original thought, then there's no thought leadership. It's just you copying from someone else.
Gotcha. What about number 9, cold outbound email? Is it still working, or should we just get rid of that altogether?
So but my initial would be to burn it, but I just signed a contract, which is pretty big, from a cold outreach that someone did to me, like $12,000. So
nice. Sometimes it works. It depends, but probably don't put all your eggs in one basket.
It's a numbers game.
Number 10, gated content. Typically on a lot of websites, so you had to put an email address or something to get the magical PDF or the white paper or whatever that looks like, your point of view. Do we keep the gated content, burn it or build it?
I will go with build it. I think the algorithm is not changing so fast. We still need a way to contact you.
Okay. Sounds
it's the
good.
only form that we have to have our own audience at the moment.
Nice. I think it probably, like in a lot of instances, it probably depends on your business and as far as what you're gating, and then also what you're putting out there as far as free content as well. So I don't know. It depends, but I think it's a highly debated topic, at least for Burning to Build It on this particular podcast. You get the final word today as far as providing a piece of advice for a sales leader that they can implement this week to help their teams win more deals.
I'll go with writing, and we'll go with the following. If I meet you at your booth at an event and we shake hands, there are two things. I want to know a bit about you, and I want to know about what you guys are doing, right? Everybody shakes hands, they look at the booth. So what do you guys do? Which first of all means something is wrong with your messaging, but by the time you finish shaking someone's hand and having a short conversation, I want them to say, I'm interested. So if you can create a 70-word blurb about what you guys, or how you guys can achieve something. What do you guys do? Again, it's explained in the book. Imagine if it would be shaking hands with someone and they're like, oh, so what do you guys do? The constraint of 70 words in about 30 seconds is to help you write different versions. And what I'm going to ask is that each member on your team does it separately. You bring it together and be very mindful of the words you choose. Once the team agrees, this will go across the board to every person in the company. Everybody says it the same. You need to feel proud and clear about it to the point where you feel okay, or even ecstatic, I would say, to put it on the top of your website in your heroes section. And for you personally, do the same to explain in 30 seconds who you are next time you go on a podcast or someone asks you or you're in a meeting. And I don't know if you know, but most people spend most of their lives with themselves, yet they do not know how to introduce themselves.
Yeah, I think it's certainly tough for a lot of people to probably wrap their heads around that, maybe in a lot of different environments and a lot of different roles. But I think having that consistency across all the different roles in the organization is also equally as important, because even if I spent days and nights trying to craft that story and then what makes us great, there's probably 5 other people that have a different version inside your business. And if you're not aligned, then that's going to create a lot of problems down the road, certainly. So that's certainly a good recommendation as far as something that somebody can implement really easy, no cost today, is to align your teams on one common cause. And like you said, put that in your hero section for your website. Great piece of advice. Where can people find more information about you, your business, your books, and everything under the sun as far as what Nir is working on?
Amazing. You can always find me on LinkedIn, Nir Zavaro, and nirzavaro.com if you're looking for keynotes or consulting. There's also one thing I'd like to say. There's you can sign up there for my Saturday story letter every week. There's one thing that you can implement in your business based on storytelling techniques. I've done this for over a year now. I'm enjoying myself tremendously. I started this to improve my craft. And the fact that hundreds of people are like, hey, this is great and this is helpful. So feel free to join. One last thing I'm going to ask you, if it's okay. What are you taking away from this session? What did you enjoy?
Turning the tables on me. Yeah, I think that last piece as far as just connecting with your teams internally in order to tell the same story, consistent stories is very important, I think. And also just taking the approach of, telling a story instead of pitching a product. And I like that. I think that's probably a point of view that we haven't had on the podcast before, which I think is fantastic. And I think, in bits and pieces in different, circles, people talk about storytelling, but implementing it is a completely different ballgame. And so I think having that mindset deployed into your culture and implementing it is certainly something a lot of companies can certainly benefit from, whether you're a founder-led company with a couple of people or whether it's 100,000 people. Telling a consistent brand story and making that your hero is something at least that I took away. So I appreciate your time today and sharing your story with the rest of the world.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right, Nir. Cheers. Bye-bye. That's how you burn the playbook. If this conversation fired you up, don't let it end here. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Share this episode with someone who's tired of playing by the old rules. And if you're ready to challenge your own sales approach, let's connect. Find me on LinkedIn at Marc Crosby or head to digitalrebelsconsulting.com to see how we help B2B teams win differently. Until next week, keep burning what's not working and keep building what is.